Hello everybody, welcome to Dirty Air. I'm your host Alex Lambert, coming to you on a Wednesday night after Daytona 500 qualifying for the Great American Race. And your pole sitter, once again, a Hendrick Chevrolet, Kyle Larson, will start first on Sunday for the Great American Race, as long as he doesn't tear that car up tomorrow in the Daytona duels, which I'm sure he'll do a fairly good job at taking care of the race car. Alex Bowman is also on the front row, guaranteed on the front row, right behind Kyle Larson. He'll be starting in second position on Sunday. So two Hendrick Chevrolets carried the top two spots. William Byron had the third fastest lap, another Hendrick Chevrolet. Eric Almirola kind of broke up the Hendrick cars there for a little bit, finishing or running the fourth fastest lap time on the racetrack. And then Chase Elliott, your last Hendrick car, ended up finishing fifth. So obviously a little bit of work for Chase Elliott's team there, as he is the worst Hendrick Chevrolet, and he's still in the top five. So, like I said, Hendrick Motorsports continues to dominate Daytona qualifying. This is a common theme. I've been doing videos on Daytona qualifying, I believe, since 2016. And Hendrick Motorsports has won the pole for every single one of those. They've won the pole every year since 2015, except for 2019 when Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won it. That was in a Hendrick Chevrolet engine. So technically it wasn't a Hendrick car, but a Hendrick Chevrolet was used in Ricky Stenhouse's car when he won the pole in 2019. So essentially Hendrick's won the pole every year since 2015. And then Chevrolet has won the pole every year since 2013, starting the streak with Danica Patrick. We had Austin Dillon win it in 2014. And then, of course, we had actually Carl Edwards win it in 2012 in a Ford. That was the last time a Chevrolet did not win the pole for the Daytona 500. So I guess next year will be a 10-year streak for Chevrolets winning the pole at Daytona. It's not really a huge, major, big deal. I mean, every team knows in the garage area tonight at Daytona that winning the pole has essentially no importance as far as if you're going to win the race on Sunday or if you have a great car. Sometimes we see the fastest cars, especially in single car qualifying, turn out to be not so great in the Daytona 500. Some of the slower cars actually are a little bit slower because they're better handling. And you got to remember, at these qualifying sessions, you know, a 1/1000th of a second can be the difference between, you know, first and, you know, 10th. So just a small, slower race car on the racetrack can actually sometimes be way better when you put them in a 40-car field in the Daytona 500 because they handle a little bit better. I've seen this with Kevin Harvick a few times. Harvick tends to not qualify very well at any restrictor plate race, but sometimes when he gets in the race car, we see him, you know, up front and making moves because he has the ability to do that with a better handling race car. Kevin Harvick's a good example. Denny Hamlin's a great example. Denny Hamlin didn't do good in qualifying tonight or ever. He hasn't won a Daytona pole. I don't think he's won one in his career, but yet we know every single season that Denny Hamlin's going to be a huge threat to win the 500. He's won 3 since 2016. He's won many restrictor plate races at Talladega, so or super speedway races now at Talladega. So even if you're not the fastest car on the racetrack in single car qualifying, it has essentially zero indication of what you're going to do in the Great American Race on Sunday. So does this mean Kyle Larson is favored to win? Not at all. I mean, really, it has essentially no say whatsoever in the Daytona 500 when we actually put these cars from a single car into a 40-car field on Sunday. It has no effect. We do have the dual races tomorrow, which will be very interesting to watch. That's when you kind of get more of a sense of what the car feels like. I know they've been talking to drivers all week. One of them that they talked to is Kyle Busch, and he made a great point by saying that we're running single car laps in qualifying. We're running laps in practice with a few of our teammates, but it really doesn't matter to run 5 laps or 10 laps, even in a pack, because things change so quickly at Daytona. So the real first taste of how these Daytona 500 cars are going to handle in the 500 itself will be the dual races. I think a lot of teams can kind of work together, race in the duels, kind of find out how that car handles and work on it, and then also, of course, learn how to drive it. This is a brand new car. I heard it drives a bit different, at least in the practice sessions we had yesterday on Tuesday. Some of the drivers are talking about how, it bump drafts are a bit different. It's a bit different when the cars are next to you, when you're side by side with the line. So it's very interesting to see how these cars will handle in the Daytona 500. It's going to be different. A lot of the drivers are going to have to get used to it. But like I said, I think you're still going to have the same guys you're going to have to watch when you go to Daytona. You're going to have to watch Denny Hamlin, who's obviously going to be a threat for winning his 4th 500. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is going to be one you want to watch. Austin Dillon tends to do very well at these restrictor plate races as well. You got to look at, or the super speedway races, I got to get used to saying that. You got to look at Brad Keselowski, because Brad Keselowski actually has the most wins, most super speedway wins out of anybody in the field, but only 1 win at Daytona. So most of those coming at Talladega, and Brad Keselowski has never won the Daytona 500. It'd be good for him to win in the 6 car. As a Kyle Busch fan, I obviously wouldn't ideally want that to happen, but it would be cool to see Brad Keselowski kind of finally get that Daytona 500 win. Obviously, you have Kyle Busch, who tends to run, at least lately, for the last few years, I look at Kyle Busch and don't think of a great restrictor plate racer at all, but if you go back to the last, I believe since 2019, Kyle Busch has put together a really good super speedway package, running up front at Talladega, making the correct moves at the correct time, and a lot of luck has kind of taken him out of certain situations, which does play a huge factor when you go to super speedway races. So definitely want to watch Kyle Busch when we get to the 500. But like I said, we'll all see this kind of play out as we get farther on or closer on to Sunday, and of course we'll see a lot of kind of a hint to what it's going to look like. What these next-gen cars are going to look like on track when we race the dual races tomorrow night, which I'll be doing a review video on that as well. So, 2 cars. There are 6 cars going into tonight trying to make the Daytona 500 that are not guaranteed in, but we now have 2 race cars that are in the Daytona 500. That is Noah Graxson. He actually got out the car and hugged his mom. He was extremely excited. He missed the Daytona 500 in 2020, but he was able to qualify his way in tonight. You had to be top 2 on your time trials to guarantee your spot into the Daytona 500. Noah Graxson did that. And then Formula 1 star, and I hope I'm saying this name right, Jacques Villeneuve. It's a complicated name to say, so I do apologize for that. But Formula 1 star was able to qualify into the Daytona 500 tonight with a fast enough lap time above the other 4 cars. So going into tomorrow night's dual races at Daytona, we're going to have to see Kaz Grala and the money team battle for a spot in the Daytona 500. Greg Biffle, man, I really do hope that Greg Biffle makes it in the Daytona 500. It'd be so cool to see the Biff back in a NASCAR a race, the biggest race of the season. The Biff is a good driver. I think he'll be able to race his way in on Thursday night in the duels, as long as he doesn't get caught up in any trouble. You know, things can happen in a race, but I think the Biff will be able to kind of make a comeback and be in the Great American Race on Sunday. That'd be cool to see. It's been a long time since we saw the Biff on track, a fairly popular race car driver. I would love to see Biffle back on track. That'd be very cool to see. J.J. Yeley is that 3rd driver trying to race his way in, and of course Timmy Hill is trying to race his way into the Daytona 500 as well. Those drivers will be racing tomorrow night to get into the 500. We'll see how that goes. We'll see who makes it in, and we'll see who does not make it in on Thursday night tomorrow. So I hope you guys tune into my video tomorrow night. I'm obviously going to do a review video on the Daytona dual races. They're always kind of interesting, you know, Thursday night races. I always really enjoy watching the duels, and that'll be the last time, or the first time, essentially, we've seen these next-gen cars in a pack. Obviously, it's going to be, you know, a 20-something car field instead of 40, but it will still be interesting to see. So I hope you guys tune in tomorrow night to watch my review video on those races. That's it. That's all there is to talk about after Daytona 500 qualifying. Hendrick Motorsports continues to dominate it. I'm sure I'm going to get in front of the camera next year and talk about how Hendrick Motorsports won the Daytona pole once again in 2023. But anyway, that's it. That's all there is to talk about. And of course, let's get rowdy.